Okay, so hi everyone. Thank you so much for connecting and for being with us today for this virtual tour of Ljubljana. So for those of you who don't know me, so my name is Saeed. I live in Bordeaux. I'm a tour guide in Bordeaux, and I have been doing different virtual tours on Internations for different cities and countries. This one today, the virtual tour of Ljubljana, is going to be for the moment the last virtual tour I do on Internations for the moment, as we were just talking, we are going to work soon, and I won't have a lot of time to do virtual tours as I was doing in the last weeks. There will be some coming up, but not for the moment. So this is going to be the last one I do, at least for this month or for the coming weeks. So. Why did I choose Ljubljana? I'm going to explain this to you, but just as I did the virtual tour of Bulgaria last week, Ljubljana is a city that I didn't visit. However, it's a city that I was always intrigued by, fascinated by. And also, I met friends, like people in Bordeaux that are from Slovenia, who gave me many information about Ljubljana. In addition to this, I did my own research because I always wanted to visit the city. So I combined all the information I got from my personal research and also from the things I got from my friends, and do this virtual tour that I'm presenting to you today. So first, I want to tell you how I heard the first time about Ljubljana and why it really fascinated me. I'm going to take you to it's a book, actually. I don't know if you know this book from Paulo Coelho. It's called Veronica Decides to Die. This book, I read this book 12 years ago, and this was the first time I hear of a city called Ljubljana. In this book, in one of the chapters, they talk about this statue that you see here. This is a statue that is present in Ljubljana, actually. A statue of a very well-known poet whose name is Franz Preseren. And basically, just for the small story, in the ambience, basically, it seems that Franz Preseren, according to the book, was living in Ljubljana about like 200 or 300 years ago. And at some point, he went into a church and he met a very beautiful girl named Julia, which is the girl you see here to the right. So he fell in love with her. However, he was a poor poet. She was the girl of a very rich merchant. So they couldn't be together because of all the differences in their like social lives. But she was the inspiration for most of his poems, if not all of his poems. And until the day he died, he was always saying how much he loved her, and he continued loving her like until the day he died. But they were never together. This is why it's called like the unfulfilled love story of Ljubljana. And at the end, now, if you go to Ljubljana, as far as it's written in the book also, you will see the statue of Franz Preseren, and at the same time, his eyes are looking across the street towards a building where you will see the face of Julia. So it's as if 200 or 300 years later, the two lovers in a way are still looking at each other. So it's just for the story. This was the first time 12 years ago I hear about Ljubljana. It fascinated me, and I decided to begin researching the city and visit it once. It's on my bucket list, and hopefully after all the lockdown and all the stuff happening, I get to visit this amazing city. So this was just for the small story. So now, some just basic information of Ljubljana. This is how I begin my presentations all the time. It's the capital of Slovenia. It has an area of about 168 square kilometers and a population between 280,000 and 300,000. While researching, I chose to put this screenshot here because I thought it was really funny. It's on the website of the tourism of Ljubljana somewhere. It was written, are Slovenia and Slovakia the same country? No, it seems that some people confuse between them. So basically, Ljubljana is the capital of Slovenia, and Slovakia, I think the capital is Bratislava, is completely different country. So just for the fun of it, I thought I would put the screenshot here. Before going to talk more about tourism in Ljubljana and what to do, just a little bit of history that I researched, and it seems that the first traces of settlement in this area that is now Ljubljana date back to about 2000 BC. So you can say that it's been about 4,000 years that there has been settlements in this area. And it was in the past, and especially during the Roman Empire, it was one of the most important trading routes, and especially during the first century. In the 6th century, it is said that there are Slavic tribes that came and they stayed in this area that at the time was called Emona. And Ljubljana, this city, became really known as a city and had all the adjectives, let's say, of a city back in the year 1220. And I think, as most of you know, during the World War, Slovenia was part of Yugoslavia, and at the end, it got its independence in 1991, and its capital is Ljubljana. So it was just small, just for the history of this area where Ljubljana is. So here, while researching and while asking some of my friends, I found some fun information, let's say, or some basic facts that must be known before going more into details about Ljubljana. Because I heard the name Ljubljana from many persons, and lots of people, each person really pronounces it in a different way. I even heard it once from tourists whom I did a guided tour in Bordeaux, pronouncing it Ljubljana, you know. So I researched it, and it seems it's pronounced Ljubljana. It's not Ljubljana, but perhaps Katya later on will tell us the real and the most correct pronunciation. In addition to all this, what I want to tell you is that Ljubljana, or in Slovenia in general, people, most of them, or like all of them, speak English. So if you are traveling there's no problem at all communicating. You will be able to ask your questions. You will be able to ask for directions. You will be able to ask for any monuments you might be going to. People talk English, know how to speak English. So there's no problem communicating with people when you are there. One word that I think should be known, which is the one I wrote here, I put here, and I put it here because I think every country, when you travel, should be Ljubljana or any other city in the world, it's very important to really go inside the culture and to enjoy the culture, to learn some words from this culture, from this country. This is how you can feel that you really blend in, you know what I mean? And one of the words that I found online is to be known is, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, Nazdravje. I think Katya later on will tell us the real pronunciation, and which means as cheers or bless you. So this is something very nice. If you go to a bar, if you go to a pub, you have a drink, it would be nice to know this word when you are there. In addition to this, you know, we live in a connected world nowadays. We are always on our cell phones. When we travel, we want to publish pictures and stuff. So most, if not all, of the cafes and pubs and places that are in Ljubljana are connected to Wi-Fi. So there's no problem being connected when you are there. One funny information I also found online, funny fact about Ljubljana, is that when you talk to people in Ljubljana, when these people tell you far, some place is far, for them it means 20 to 30 minutes walk. And as you are going to see later on, Ljubljana is a city where it's really nice to walk, to enjoy the city just by walking. So unless you have, let's say, I know, the most uncomfortable shoes ever, I highly recommend you just walk around the city and discover the beauty of it just by walking around. In addition to all this, I'm gonna say a little bit about the people of Ljubljana from some of the people I met through Internations and some of the friends I met in Bordeaux that were from Slovenia and from Ljubljana. They are some of the most wonderful people, hospitable people, and they are known for their sense of humor. So while going there, you are going to really feel that you are really welcome and you are truly going to enjoy your stay, because I think one of the most important parts of any country is not the landmarks you are going to visit or the monuments, it's the people. It's the people that are the mirror, let's say, or they give the best effect of a country. So the people of Ljubljana are so awesome, are so friendly, are so sociable, and you are surely going to have amazing time if you get to know them more and more. And just to tell you that in Slovenia, all in all, this is information I got. I was really surprised is that the whole country of Slovenia has about 2 million inhabitants. And as I told you before, there are about 280,000, 300,000 that live in Ljubljana. And now what's with the dragon? So if you go to Ljubljana, guys, you are going to see this dragon, and not only this one, you are going to see many other dragons. So what's the story and what's with the dragons of Ljubljana? So I wrote it here on a note. It's a symbol of the city. But why is it a symbol of the city? It is said that in the past, Ljubljana was founded by some guy named Jason. I'm reading from a note. He was like a hero in the Greek mythology, and he fled one time from some king named Aetus through, through the Black Sea. He had a ship, and when he arrived to Ljubljana, he dismantled his ship, and then he stayed there. And at some point, while going, like he was continuing his, like he was fleeing the king, at some point he found out about a huge dragon, and he killed this dragon. So this is like the whole summary of the story. It's only a summary, but just to tell you that this is how the dragon became a symbol of Ljubljana. It's like a symbol of power, of courage, and also of wisdom. So other than this dragon, you are really going to find many dragons on buildings, on sidewalks in Ljubljana, because it's a symbol of the city. So these were some really small facts of Ljubljana, and now I'm going to move to another section where I'm going to be telling you why should you visit Ljubljana. But before I move to this section, I'm going to show you a quick video, a small one, to show you the streets of the city, and then we will continue the presentation. I'm gonna go for the first one. Okay, I'm going to put it on full screen, and hopefully my computer won't freeze. This was just a small tour of Ljubljana. I'm going to show you other videos while you go on with the presentation. And so now, going back to the presentation, why visit Ljubljana? First reason, as I told you before, is the history. I think every city has lots of amazing history to tell and lots of stories to tell. And as I told you before, the area of Ljubljana was settled about 2000 BC. So it has about 4,000 years of history, and dating even through the Roman Empire. Until today, on the buildings of Ljubljana, by walking in the streets, you can see traces of history that will tell you stories of all the ancient civilizations that were here before. In addition to all this, in the museums of Ljubljana, I'm going to talk about them later on, you can see lots of artifacts that date from the Middle Ages until the 20th century. But just as I told you before, also it's really amazing to walk inside the city, because Ljubljana, just if you look at this picture, you see the beautiful architecture, the diverse architecture. Walking inside it is like walking inside a museum. So basically, you don't really need, I mean, it's nice to go into a museum, of course, but just walking around it, you can feel all the story that it has to tell, all the history that it has. It's a city that is very rich in history for all history lovers. In addition to all this, another reason to visit Ljubljana is its location. So as you see in the map here in the middle, Ljubljana is basically in a way in the center of Slovenia. So it's like it is at equal distances from all the borders of the country of Slovenia. So basically, when you are in Ljubljana, you can choose wherever you want to go. And if you want to go to the sea, if you want to go to ski during the winter, it's really all through a short car journey. What you see here to the left is the Adriatic Sea, actually. So it's to the borders here. Actually, I put the map, you know, the Adriatic Sea is the one here. And this is the end of, so this is the place. So basically, this is like 1.5 hour road trip from Ljubljana. In case you go visit there during winter, you can also go do ski, and they have the name of a ski station, which is called Granska Gora Ski Center, which is one of the most known ski slopes in Ljubljana and one of the most in Slovenia, I'd say, one of the most beautiful ones. And you can go there from Ljubljana. It takes about 1.5 hours or 2 hours by a road trip. So just to tell you, the location of Ljubljana is perfect if you want to visit this city, but if also you want to visit many other areas, villages, towns, and cities in the country of Slovenia. Another reason why visit Ljubljana, and I think like whenever you travel to any city, it's really important, I mean, for me to take the time to enjoy the city, enjoy life in the city. And when I want to do this, I like to go into parks, you know, and to enjoy just the weather, to look at people walking, to just see the life in the city. Ljubljana is a city that has so many parks. So for all nature lovers, you are going to be delighted by all the parks that it has to offer. Many of them are like oases, you know, are like paradises even. One of the most known ones is the Tivoli Park, the one you see here to the pictures to the right. It's one of the biggest and most popular parks. But in addition to this big and popular parks, wherever you go in Ljubljana, in some neighborhoods, in some streets, you are going to find smaller parks. So if you want to go to relax, if you want to go for a walk, if you want to read a book, to just sit and enjoy the view around you, you are going to find lots of amazing parks where you can do just this. And in addition to all this, I found out that there's some place called Ljubljana Botanical Garden, which is which is like a short walk from the capital. I didn't put a picture of it here because I found about it just now, like, you know, half an hour before the presentation. I wrote it in front of me. It seems that there are more than 4,500 different species and subspecies in this Ljubljana Botanical Garden that was opened in 1810. So for all nature lovers, I think it's a place that is a must visit. Moving on. So like we always travel, like many people want to go for shopping when we travel. So I just added this slide here to tell you that Ljubljana is a city that offers shopping on an international level and also on a local level. So when you are there, you are going to be able to find all the international known shops, you know, that you find all over the world. But in addition to all this, you are going to find local brands that are really a tradition of Ljubljana, or also a tradition of the country of Slovenia, because I think it's really interesting, rather than visiting international brands, to also visit national ones, local ones, to be able to discover more and more the culture of the country and the culture of this city. There are many malls, there are many markets, as you see in the pictures here, where you can buy like handcrafted souvenirs, some food, some gifts, some books, beauty products, art, jewelry, you name it. Just to tell you, concerning shopping in Ljubljana, you can find everything you want. So if you are a shopping person, you are going to be very well served in Ljubljana. Another reason also to visit this city, and this is one of my favorite reasons, it depends, of course, on each person. You know, there are people who like to walk, people who like to go for a bike ride, people who like to rent a car or go on these bus tours. For me, I like to discover a city either by walking or also by taking a bike ride, you know, and because for me, it's a really great way to really enjoy the city, to stop at anywhere I want to stop. If there's like a very beautiful architectural landmark, some beautiful design, some beautiful building, it's like a free tour that I give myself. So in Ljubljana, as a city, has just tell you a very efficient public transportation system that I'm going to be talking about it later on in this presentation. But even with this efficient public transportation, you can also rent a bike and enjoy a tour around Ljubljana just on a bike, because there are lots of bike lanes and there are lots of streets that are only made for pedestrians. So basically, more and more people in Ljubljana are using bicycles as their main way of transportation, and also main way to discover the city. So this is something I highly recommend, and one of the important reasons to visit Ljubljana. Moving on, and this is something I discovered when I was researching for this presentation, are the cafes. You know, like in Paris, there are lots of cafes. In Bordeaux, there are lots of cafes in every major city in the world. But it seems that in Ljubljana, drinking coffee and and sitting at these cafes, you know, is really tradition. You know, it's a special time. So it seems that the city is really filled with cafes. The most beautiful ones, or the ones with the best view, are the one along the river. And people usually go there, friends together, drink a cup of coffee and to chat about their whole day. It's like something that can last for many hours. And if you really want to, in a way, soak to the energy of the city, to soak into the culture of the city, to live like Ljubljana people live, it is something that you must do. Just go grab a cup of coffee and sit on one of these cafes, because it's really one important tradition of Ljubljana. And moving on, as I told you also before, history is very important. It's a city that is very filled with rich history that date about 4,000 years old. And this is why there are lots of museums. So for all art, art lovers, culture lovers, history lovers, you are going to be very well served in Ljubljana, because there are lots of museums, there are lots of art galleries where you are going to be able to explore all the history of the country and all the history of Ljubljana as a city, and also history that dates from the medieval ages until today. So it's really amazing. So if you are really a history lover, you can spend hours and even days going through the museums. And I chose two of them that I'm going to be talking about next in my presentation. So now that I told you a little bit about why visit Ljubljana, some of the reasons to visit it, I'm going to tell you what to visit and what is there to do when you are there. Of course, Ljubljana is a city that has so much to offer, you know, like as every city in the world. And for the sake of the presentation and for the sake of the time we have, I cannot talk about everything it has to offer. So I just chose randomly some places that I saw were really nice, like a sample of what Ljubljana has to offer. But then I think Katya has many other things that will show us later on. So first things first. One of the main squares of Ljubljana that are a must visit, or the main square, is the one I told you about in the beginning of this presentation when I talked about this poet that you see in the picture to the top right, the French Preseren who was in love with Julia. So there's the square called Preseren Square, which is, as I told you, one of the most important squares of the city. There are always lots of events happening there. And if you are ever walking around the city in any street and you hear some music or some sounds or something, you can be, let's say, 99% sure that something is going on the Preseren Square, because it's like the main square where events happen. I just want to say one thing that I discovered through my research is that actually, it's a historical fact actually, that in the year 1895, there was a huge earthquake that measured about 6.1 on with the Richter thingy, So it was a huge earthquake, and that destroyed many of the buildings, especially around this area. So now when you visit this Preseren Square, many of the buildings are renovated ones, or ones that are newly built after the old ones were demolished by the earthquake. So in a way, the reconstruction after the earthquake changed completely the layout and the architecture of part of Ljubljana, mainly the Preseren Square. So this was the place to be when you are there. Moving on, just next to the Preseren Square that you see here in the picture to the top right, you see, so this is here the Preseren monument. You have what that is called the Triple Bridge. First of all, before telling you about it, I mean, just by the look of it, it's if you walk at night, it's really as if walking inside a fairy tale. Like, I mean, I think this picture alone is reason enough to visit Ljubljana, you know. So basically, this triple bridge dates back to the year 1842. First of all, the bridge in the middle was built and it was meant for traffic for cars. And then in the year 1930, the two other bridges were added. And this is why it is called the triple bridge. And from there, for all Instagrammers, you know, for all people, social media people, bloggers and stuff, from there you can take amazing pictures, especially at night. But there aren't only these bridges in Ljubljana. Even though Ljubljana is a very small city, and in addition to being a small city, the river is also very narrow, there are a big number of bridges that you can visit. As you see in the pictures here, I didn't put all the pictures of the bridges. I just chose a sample. But to tell you, you can even take what I would like to call a bridge walking tour, just walk around all the bridges. I think it will take you a few hours or even a day or half a day, I know, to visit all the bridges, because for a small city, are lots of bridges to visit, some of which are the Dragon Bridge, the Butcher's Bridge, and the Cobbler's Bridge. So if you see the picture here to the bottom left, you see this is the bridge that is called the Butcher's Bridge, and on it you have the love padlocks. So you know, just like in Paris, you have this bridge with the love padlocks. I'm not sure if it exists in Paris. If it still exists, I remember last time they said they were going to remove it. But anyway, if you don't have place to put it in Paris, you can just take it to Ljubljana and put your love padlock on the Butcher's Bridge in Ljubljana. So this was for the bridges. Moving on, Ljubljana Castle. You know, if you are walking around Ljubljana, and at some point you take your eyesight, you know, from your cell phone and look a bit up, you are going to see this castle that is visible from mostly everywhere in the city. And this castle was built about 900 years ago. To arrive there, there are two options. Either you can take a funicular, you know, like a train that I'm going to be telling you about it a little in a bit, or you can, if you like hiking, if you like walking, and as I told you, walking is really nice in Ljubljana, you can just have a small walk from the city to arrive to this castle. So just for the quick history of it, this castle of Ljubljana used to be in the past a military building, and it was like, you know, a fortress to defend from outside invasions. Now it can be visited, and inside it you can find lots of history concerning the castle and also concerning the city overall. The main courtyard, the one that you see here to the bottom right, is free of entrance, so you don't have to pay anything to go to the main courtyard. Here you are going to find a cafe, an art gallery, and also a bar. In addition to all this, if you want to discover more, there is what is called the time machine tour. What I put here actually, it's a screenshot I took. So basically, the time machine tour is when you pay and you go to the tower, you know, the tour that you see here. Inside it, there's a special kind of tour where you are going to see 3D animations that will tell you the whole story of Slovenia, of the castle, and also of Ljubljana. It's a very special tour. If you are interested in more on history, this is the time machine tour is a must do. But just to tell you, all these places, all these landmarks, you can either visit them by yourself, or as in every city in the world, you can take guided tours. This is something I do, especially if I'm solo traveling, because I think while solo traveling, or while traveling in general, taking guided tours is really interesting to familiarize yourself better with the city rather than just walking all by yourself. So here, I told you before, the Tivoli Park of Ljubljana, one of the most amazing parks to visit. As you see, it's so beautiful. If you want to go for a run, you want to go to just relax, to read a book, to just see life around you, Tivoli Park is one of the most popular, or the most popular one to visit when you are there. And now moving on to another landmark that I mean, just look at the picture here, you know, the picture to the left, see the amazing ornaments, the amazing decor, design, you know, all the beauty of it. This is a place, this is Ljubljana's cathedral that is a must visit, should it be for religious reasons or also for just tourism or for history, culture reasons. So basically, the Ljubljana Cathedral is really in the center of in the center of Ljubljana. It is known for its green dome. You know, you see it in the picture to the top right, green dome, and also for the twin towers that you see here that also have, let's say, smaller green domes. It was built back in the 18th century. And as far as I read, it used to be, there was a Gothic style building that was removed and changed into a Baroque style. But it seems that there's lots of history on this side. There seems that there was a church there in the year 1300 that was burned, and another one built in the 1600. Anyway, it's a long history. I'm not going to go into the details, but just to tell you, it changed a lot until this cathedral, the one that is present today, was built in the 18th century. So the exterior of it is simple, as you see, but however, in order to admire the beauty, you have to go inside and see the amazing ornaments as you are seeing in the pictures. And one interesting fact is that there are two stunning bronze gates that were added to this cathedral during the visit of Pope John Paul II during the year in 1996. So one amazing landmark to visit when you are in Ljubljana. Moving on, as I told you before about history, also, so I told you I chose just two museum or art galleries to tell you about. So one of which is the National Gallery. So basically, the National Gallery is a place that really holds some of the largest collection of fine art from the Middle Ages until the 20th century. Beside it, you are going to find a permanent exhibition that is divided into two sections, where you are going to find lots of medieval sacred arts and lots of arts made by Baroque artists. So the entrance is about it's like 10 euros for adults and 5 euros for students. And for also art lovers, this is a place that is a must visit. And in addition to this, inside it, I'm going to show you a little bit later, there's a fountain of in Ljubljana that is very well known. The replica of this fountain is present on one of the streets. I'm going to show it to you later on. But the original one is found inside this National Gallery. It's called the Roba Fountain. So if you are interested in art, in culture, in history, this is a place that is a must visit. Moving on, another museum is the National Museum of Ljubljana. This one, if you want, you can say that it's like it's like the most outstanding museum. It's like the foremost museum of the city. So basically here you are going to find the history, most of the history of the whole country of Slovenia, of Ljubljana. And in addition to this, there aren't only artifacts of the history of the country, there are also artifacts that are considered treasures for the whole world, you know, not only for Slovenia. And here I wrote something because it seems that inside it, there's a flute that dates to the Neanderthal era, that dates about 60,000 years ago. You can find it in this National Museum. It's something, it's just, this is why I told you, not only the history of Ljubljana is present there or of Slovenia, there are treasures for the whole world present in this museum. Inside it, you are going to find 3 permanent exhibitions, one of which is the Historic Museum, where you are going to find important old and archaeological finds. The second one is Roman stories, because as I told you, this area where Ljubljana is used to be an important trade routes in the past, so it tells you all the history of these trade routes. And the third one is the Roman Lapidarium, even though I have no idea what Lapidarium means. I just wrote it down, I found it on their website. But inside this permanent exhibition, you are going to find about 200 monuments, old monuments with ancient Latin inscriptions written on them. So this is the National Museum. Moving on, one of the places to visit in Ljubljana, and I think this is one of the most beautiful places I have found during my research, is the Metelkova Mesto. I don't know if you've been to in Copenhagen to what's it called, Christiania, you know, the Christiania district in Copenhagen. If you've been there, the Metelkova Mesto, it seems it's not unlike Christiania in Copenhagen, or also here in Bordeaux, we have another place called Darwin Ecosystem. So what is Metelkova Mesto? Basically, these are like old war barracks, you know, that were going to be torn apart, but some squatters took them and lived in them and created a new way of life. So you can go there during the day to take amazing pictures, you can find graffitis, you can find the, you know, it's a completely different way of life. And at night you can go for different events, for different for music, for live music. There are parties happening, you know. It's like an alternative part of Ljubljana. So this is like the alternative neighborhood of Ljubljana, and this is something I really like, because for me it's an alternative way of living. And so if you are ever there and you are interested, this is a place that I recommend you visit. I know I will visit it when I am there. And since I was telling you about the fountain a bit ago, this is the fountain I told you about, which is called the Roba Fountain. So what you see here in the street is a replica of the original fountain that was done by an artist called Francesco Roba. The original one was removed from the street so that it be kept safe and was put in the National Gallery that I showed you before. And in the street now, you are going to only see a replica. So this fountain represents, you have the figures of 3 male figures pouring water from jugs, and it is said that these 3 water coming out represent the 3 rivers in an area called Carniola region. And from my research, I found out that the Carniola region is the western region of Slovenia. And during the 19th century, it used to be like the center of Slovenian nationalist and independence activities. So moving on, one of the places, other than all the, let's say, classic museums and classic arts to visit, this is a museum that is very unique and very special. I never heard about such a museum in any other city. It's called the House of Illusions, or the Museum of Illusions. I took a screenshot from their website. It's what you see to the bottom left, actually, where it's written, "You won't believe your eyes." And you know, when you see this, it's like you are immediately intrigued to go and visit this museum or this house. Basically, as I told you, it's a very unique place. Inside it, there are attractions for either kids or also grown-ups. So to give you an example, you are going to see some anti-gravity room where everything seems to float. Also, you are going to go inside a room where you are going to see some dizzying vortex all around you, and you are going to do everything you can to keep your balance. You know, this is the type of things you can encounter while you are inside this museum. It's really an alternative place. It's really a unique place to visit, to experience yourself, and to get to know a new type of museum. The entrances, as far as I saw on their website, are between 10 to 20 euros. It depends if it's kids or adults or stuff like this. But I think this is a place that is a must visit when you are in Ljubljana. And now moving on also. So I told you a bit about places to visit. So some activities to do when you are there. You know, as I told you, it's really nice to walk around Ljubljana and also to take a bike. But if you want to get a different perspective of the city, why not go for a boat tour? And these boats, you can take them from the Triple Bridge, you know, and the tours a little bit, it takes about an hour actually. But what's nice about them is that they give you a tour of Ljubljana, but at the same time, they take you to some areas near Ljubljana that you yourself might not think of going to visit by yourself. So you are going to see Ljubljana from a different point of view and enjoy a boat ride and see some areas that you might not visit when you are alone. In addition to this, I told you about the Ljubljana Castle that has an amazing view towards the city. And I told you, if you want to reach there, either you go walking or you take the funicular. And this is the funicular I was telling you about. Taking the funicular will give you amazing views toward the city, as you see in the pictures just in front of you. And it costs less than 5 euros. However, if you want to take a good picture, you have to be really quick because the ride is really quick. So basically in under 1 minute, the funicular is going to take you 70 meters up to the Ljubljana castle. So you only have barely a minute to take the pictures and to enjoy the views. But I think it's a great way to enjoy Ljubljana from a different point of view. And here, moving on, this is something also very special and unique that I found while preparing for the presentation. Just like the House of Illusions, as you are seeing here, I'm not kidding, you can stay in a prison. Basically, in Ljubljana, there's this hostel called Celica Hostel, C-E-L-I-C-A. This building in the past used to be like a military building where there were some political, prisoners and stuff like this. And then it was bought by someone and transformed into a hostel. So here, what's really nice, what's really different is that, when you go on booking.com, for example, or any other site to book your room, here, basically you choose your cell. You choose in which cell you want to live. So as you want to stay. Basically, so as you see in the pictures, it's all cells. You choose where you want to live. It's a really amazing new way of staying. I never experienced it before, but I think I would love to try it out when I visit Ljubljana. And as it is a hostel, it is really a beautiful, vibrant life there. There's a bar, there's an art gallery, there are lots of events happening, there are pub crawls happening to discover the city. So it's really an amazing place to stay. But just the idea of choosing yourself rather than choosing your room is really interesting. And as I said before, I'm just gonna move quickly here. There are lots of street arts in Ljubljana, some of which are in the alternative place that I told you about before. I think street arts are really a liberty of expressions that represents the history of every city. And this is why I always talk about them in my virtual tour. So if you are a street art lover, you are going to find lots on Ljubljana's walls and buildings. Also, one of the things that I did that you can do also, you can go biking. I'm not going to stay late here also because I told you how biking in Ljubljana is really awesome to discover the city in a very different way, to take the time to dwell inside the city. So go for a bike ride. I'm sure you are going to enjoy it a lot. And here I found a place because, as I told you, in Ljubljana, drinking coffee and going to cafes is something that is really important. And here I found a place that is really nice. It is said to be the best place to get a coffee in Ljubljana, as far as I read. Get a coffee with a view. So the building is called Nebotnik, something like this. It's like a skyscraper, and it's like one of the most iconic landmarks and buildings in Ljubljana. But what's more interesting is the rooftop, as you see in the pictures here. So if you really want to enjoy very amazing view while taking a cup of coffee, it is really highly recommended you visit this rooftop, where, as you see, you have an amazing view towards the city and also towards the castle of Ljubljana. And sometimes when it's really clear weather, you can see even beyond Ljubljana and have amazing views. So these were the choices I made to talk to you about Ljubljana. As I told you, it's only a sample of what Ljubljana has to offer. But here I just chose to tell you that even though Ljubljana is a city that is so beautiful and you can visit lots of stuff in it, if you have more time and more days, Slovenia, all in all, as a country, has so much to offer. So make sure to leave Ljubljana for a day or two and discover what it has what cities it has to offer and to discover also. And one of which is the one you see here to the left, that is called, let me tell you, Lake Bed. It's like a fairy tale town where you have a church in the middle of the lake. You see how beautiful it is, and you get to take these boats to go to the churches. And here in this picture, it's one of the caves. Just 2 days ago, we had an event about the caves with Andra. One of the most amazing caves like in Europe are present in Slovenia. And the picture you see here to the bottom is of the Postojna cave. You can see more information about it, but it's really one of the most amazing caves that you can visit by taking a train inside. So if you have more days, make sure to take the time to visit other places around the country. So here I'm going to tell you quickly, well, not quickly, I mean, whenever I talk about food in my virtual tours, I don't really talk about ingredients and stuff, because I'm not really a good cook. So I just tell you that in Ljubljana, you just by looking at these images, you can find lots of restaurants, lots of snack bars where you can enjoy different types of international food and also of local food, some of which I wrote the names of them. You have the meat and cheese sharing board, the one we saw here. You have the traditional Slovenian cream cake, and you have the horse burger. Don't ask me about it. Horse burger, it seems that this is known, but just to tell you, for all food lovers, you are going to be very well served in Ljubljana by eating either international dishes or also local dishes. And I'm going to show you here a video actually, because there are lots of food tours that happen in Ljubljana also that you can take, one of which I found is called Ljubljana Jam. So where they take you for 1 hour to taste different local cuisines. So I'm going to show you a video now. 1 second. Yeah, it's this one.
Hi, this is Tanya from J-Way, and today we are doing a food tour in Ljubljana. So let's go! I hope you like the video. See you in Slovenia.
So I also hope you like the video and see you in Ljubljana. Okay, so moving on, it's practically at the end of this presentation. We don't have much more. What do we have left? Yes, the transportation. So as I told you, I'm just going to go through them quickly. Ljubljana has some really efficient public transportation system. As I told you, you can walk around the city, you can rent the bikes, you can take the buses, or you can take this what you're seeing here, this small car actually that is called Cavalier, and basically it's an electric powered vehicle that is really environment friendly, of course, and people friendly, that is made to go from one point to another in the city, and basically it's to transport, you know, old people, but also visitors. So I think it's just like, you know, when you go to Lisbon, you try the tram 28, you know, the yellow tramway. I think if you go to Ljubljana, it's a must to try this Cavalier. And the last thing I want to say is about the nightlife of Ljubljana, that Ljubljana is a city, if you enjoy nightlife, if you enjoy going out for drinks, to have fun, to meet people, is a city that has a really vibrant nightlife where you can find different types of music. And from my opinion, as I always say in all my virtual tours, it's something that I personally do. I always go on pub crawls, and as you see, I took screenshots to show that there are different amazing crawls if you really want to meet people, meet tourists, meet visitors, and also get to know more and more the nightlife of Ljubljana. So this was my presentation. I just have one last video to show you. I hope you liked it, and Ljubljana is a really, it's a jewel of a city, in my opinion. From all the research I did, I can tell you I didn't know many of the things about it until I began researching for this presentation, and I know that's going high on my list, on my bucket list. As you saw, it's a really small city, but has so much to offer. Should it be on a cultural level, on a tourism level, on a history level, on a nightlife level, nature level, or whatever you want. I'm going to show you one last video, and then I'll end my presentation. This is Ljubljana in 4K.